Alright folks, welcome to another pre-modern video. The only format where Tron is actually good instead of everybody just sighing whenever anybody plays a Tron line. But yes, this is a format where you can assemble mine, power plant, and tower, and you may still be pretty far behind. So the way that this deck is built, it's actually very cool. This is Elves the take on blue-white Tron. I just made a couple of changes here and there, but it's very much Elves concept. So we have all of this late game engine, but we're actually playing a normal, somewhat fair control deck in the early game. So we have Swords to Plowshares, we have Disenchant, Mana Leak / Prohibit as ways to interact, and then Powder Keg as a way to clear up the board. And then we have Skyclad Egg and Chromatic Sphere as ways to filter our mana into giving us the colors that we need. And then eventually we will assemble Tron, and once we do, that's where we have our heavy hitters. That's where we have Stroke of Genius and Decree of Justice at the top of the curve. And once we start to, get this engine going on, it should be able to take over fairly easily from there. We also have Masticore and Wrath of God at quote-unquote the top of the fair curve. So these are obviously ways that we can catch up after being behind, so that's why they're powerful and they're included here. And then we have a couple of power sinks, which in the early game can be, a bad force spike, but once we get to the late game, once we have already assembled Tron, it will effectively counter whatever our opponent throws at us, and at the same time, it will guarantee that they're not going to be doing something else on that turn, so that's pretty sweet. So this is the main deck that we're going to be playing, and then in the sideboard we have, of course, a who's who of cards that you would expect to see out of in blue and white colors. Obviously, one of my favorite cards in the format, in Meddling Mage, 3 copies of that. 3 Hydroblast / Blue Elemental Blast. Obviously, the red deck can be problematic for an archetype like this one. Forbid is there for control mirrors, and then it's also a very nice combo with Arcane Laboratory. So if you once you have assembled the engine and you are like Stroking of Genius for like 7 or whatever, then you can forbid to make sure that you always have a counter spell to counter whatever your opponent casts, and then that's gonna be like the one spell that they cast in the turn, right? We also have Warmth and 2 copies of Circular Protection Red as ways to fare against the red menace as well. Again, we're pretty scared of the red decks here. And then the remaining copies of Disenchant to finish the playset. This card is obviously a banger in this format. And finally, 2 copies of Teferi's Response. This card is actually super powerful when people are trying to Reshadow and Port you or Wasteland you, or even Dust Bowl you, dude. When I played in the Madison event, where I actually was playing Landstill and Caleb was playing this deck, in game 3, Teferi respawns my Dust Bowl for the cleanest 4/1 that I have ever seen in my life. It was concession granting, let's put it like that. But yeah, obviously super narrow card, but has the potential to just blow a game out of the water, right? So this is a deck that we're going to be playing in this Magic Online Society League. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you for round number 1. Match 1 of this league. I think I'd keep this. Definitely an interesting hand, but yeah, I'm going to keep this. So I'm going to go play Tower turn 1, playing against Elves. So I guess this hand... Oh, okay, never mind. This hand's fine. Maybe... I don't know. Maybe we're going to be too slow, but I think... We're going to have turn 3 Tron, or we can potentially Wrath. We can also Stroke of Genius for a bunch. If my opponent doesn't have a Cradle, maybe we have a shot. But if they have a quick start, then that's going to be problematic. Symbiote. Yeah, that's very bad for us. Priest. So I'm still going to try to go for some Wrath action here. He attacks for 1. That's not a Swords to Plowshares. I really wish I had drawn a Swords to Plowshares there. I think I just have to play a power plant and I just have to pass the turn back. And my hope is that I can cycle between my draw step and another draw. I can cycle this Chromatic Sphere into another Chromatic Sphere, and I can Wrath. That's my hope, at least. I don't know if it's going to be good enough. Unless we don't have a payoff just yet. Natural Order. So he should probably go get Kamal or Verdant Force. I can beat a Verdant Force, actually. I would have been a lot more worried about a Kamal. So I can just beat this. How much is this? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm taking 12 next turn. I can beat 12. Or I can just draw a Masticore. That's also pretty good. Yeah, let's do that one. So, play a land. Now we have Tron. And let's play a Masticore. And I think I just ping the Symbiote here. And then I just get to chump block the Verdant Force, since my Masticore is gonna die anyway. And then it just Wrath of God next turn. Yeah, that Masticore was a really good draw. The Masticore was a very, very good draw. He just serves with everything. Okay, so that really tells me that he doesn't have anything else going on. I really think he should have Natural Order for Kamal. So that was definitely a mistake on Demi's side. Because I would have been very dead if he had gone for Kamal instead. Yep. So cycle this into a white. And this is 4 mana for the Wrath of God. Alright, cool. Yeah, we definitely got away with murder there. I'm not gonna say anything otherwise. We definitely got away with murder. So here I really like Meddling Mage and I really like Arcane Lab. These are my 2 big hits. Besides that, Disenchant is not great but potentially necessary. I think I'm gonna go down 1 Decree. Do 1 Masticore, of course. I think I want to go down maybe 1 Leak, 1 Prohibit, and 1 Power Sink. Yeah, let's go with this. Maybe Power Sink is better than Decree. Number 3. Yeah, this is fine. Let's go with this. On the play, of course, Power Sink is going to become a lot better. Same with Mana Leak. But since I'm on the draw, I think my opponent's going to make those cards dead a little bit too quickly for me. 1 lander. I really like that this hand casts Meddling Mage on turn 2 and also Chromatic Spheres. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to keep this. It's definitely 1 lander, which is not super great, but if I find literally any land at all, I'm going to be in good shape. So here I'm going to play Chromatic Sphere because it actually allows me to either Source to Plowshares or Meddling Mage on turn 2 if I want to. Sure. Quirion Ranger. And then he untaps, replays Forest, doing some Elves things over there. And we really want to dodge Symbiote here, I think. Oh, he doesn't have anything. Well, he missed a land drop, so I think I'm going to go for Source to Plowshares on the Llanowar Elves this turn, as opposed to casting Meddling Mage. Because if he has Survival, he's low on mana anyway. Oh, play second Elves, that's definitely much worse for me. Okay, so we untap. We draw Skycloud Egg, which is not great. So play my land. Well, now we know that he's going to have mana next turn, so I'm a lot more tempted to play Meddling Mage on Survival. So let's cycle for white, Ursa's Mine. Yeah, let's actually just play Meddling Mage on Survival of the Fittest, and now ship the turn back. If he hadn't played a second Llanowar Elf, I would have simply just Source to Plowshares the onboard Llanowar Elf. I could still in here have Source to Plowshares the Quirion Ranger and just leave Demi with only 3 mana for the turn. He pays for upkeep on the Acolyte, which makes sense. Now he gets to swing for 2, which is probably not going to matter for a little bit. Okay, so he untaps, he has 3 mana here. We really don't want to see Wirewood Symbiote. That one is a lot of mana. We probably have to Source to Plowshares that, I would assume. So let's play Skycloud Egg. And we're going to immediately crack it. Masticore is not bad. So let's get rid of the Priest here. It's a little bit too much mana. We do get to play out another Egg here. We have no reliable white mana, which is a little bit of a problem because even if we draw a Wrath, we cannot cast it. But if we finish strong, we're going to have a live Masticore. Ooh, he went for red mana. Hard cast Anger. I guess you gotta do what you gotta do, huh? So that means if we draw Source to Plowshares, we can just source the Anger, and they're not gonna have haste for the remainder of the game. A Darker Wastes is not terrible. So let's cycle Egg here. Skycloud expands. Not super great, but it is what it is. I definitely want to play this Expanse here. And I think I probably will need to concede to a Naturalize effect. Because otherwise I'm just passing the turn back here. I'm just continue to get beaten down. So I just have to hope my opponent does not have Naturalize. And I have to hope that this Masticore is going to be enough to stabilize here. So he did have the Naturalize, which is really bad news for us. I know we're going to take 4 again. That sucks, but it is what it is. If I find a Wrath, I'm going to be in a lot more comfortable position. Oh, Symbiote sucks for us. Yeah, we have this 2 that disenchants. And now he's going to get to start looping Acolyte. So we're in really bad shape now. Oof. Yeah, that's really bad. So now he's doing double Acolyte for a turn. At this point, it doesn't even matter for us. Like, Wrath just doesn't do anything for us. It just doesn't do enough. Let's play Power Plant and say go. Man, I really wish I at least had like a Decree to cycle or like Impulse to like cantrip a little bit. But this is really bad. Even if I complete Tron, I have nothing to do with it. I think he misclicked there. Bounced a Llanowar Elf instead of bouncing the other one. Don't think it's going to change too much of the outcome of what's going on here, but like eventually he's just gonna find a Cradle and I'm gonna be super dead. Keeps replaying Acolyte. 6 cards in hand. We know about the Llanowar Elf and that's it. even if your Wrath is not even that good, like my opponent still gets to bounce a couple of things and get out of it basically unscattered. I don't even know. Take 2. Nothing to do here. Untap and stroke. So I'm just dead at this point. Too far behind. Okay, so how does it change things? So I think I want Mana Leak coming back in maybe Forbid, and we can get rid of a Disenchant and maybe a Decree. Okay, so we do get to be on the play here. Oh my god, this hand would be so incredible if I had literally, even if this were, man, am I just keeping this? Do I just keep this hand and I just don't fetch turn 1 to increase the likelihood of me finding a land? Like, this hand is extremely good. Like, it has everything that I want. This has like Meddling Mage on turn 2. It has Swords to Plowshares. Man, I think I have to mulligan this. Okay, this hand's good. Yeah, this hand's great. So let's keep this, and I think I'm gonna bottom the Impulse, because like all of my other cards are kind of sick. Do I just bottom the land instead? And I just hope to draw a land of the Chromatic Sphere and my natural draw step. Impulse seems quite strong, to be honest. Yeah, okay, let's actually get a little bit... We're gonna get a little bit risky here. But I get to Meddling Mage on the play, name Survival. So turn 1 Sphere, say go. He goes turn 1... what? So let's sack Sphere for white. I'm gonna Meddling Mage on Survival. Ship the turn back. And then I could Arcane Lab, but I kind of just want to prohibit instead. Priest of Titania. That's a little bit problematic. So I guess I actually just have to play on Arcane Lab here, just so my opponent doesn't get out of control. Swing for 2. So he needs to have the Naturalize right now. Okay, so Acolyte, that means that that's his entire turn. And this is why using that window to drop the Arcane Lab was kind of necessary. Oh, he swings with Priest, so I don't need to worry about Naturalize and Step. So I think I'm gonna main face Impulse. Yeah, we're definitely main facing Impulse here. So I can Swords to Plowshares on my opponent's upkeep. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. Hold on to the Swords to Plowshares, play my land, put a stop on my opponent's upkeep. Obviously, I'm not gonna attack here. My opponent should pay with their Priest, and if they do, then I just hold on, prohibit. Yeah, okay. So they paid with Priest, so there's no need for me to Swords to Plowshares the Priest now. And I can just see what they do. And if they cast... Okay, so I can prohibit that. Does that even matter, though? Yeah, I guess it uses my mana very nicely. So I'm just going to prohibit that. Shout out to Arcane Lab. Like, this card is very good in this matchup, I think. It really limits what my opponent can do here. Mana Leak is pretty nice. So I guess we swing. And the question is, do I Swords to Plowshares the Priest now? And I think I do, because that makes my Mana Leak that much better. This opens up the window for him to Naturalize the Arcane Lab. But without the Priest, I'm a lot less scared of the Arcane Lab. Okay, so we get to untap. My opponent could... They could actually just play a Werewood Symbiote here, which would be pretty powerful, but like Feed on Elves doesn't scare me too much. Now we get to Impulse, which is nice. That's a Masticore. Power Sink, it's a card that I'm not super stoked about. So I think I'm gonna get the Masticore instead. My opponent clearly doesn't have Naturalize. Otherwise, they would have cast it already. So I think I'm gonna risk it here and just slam this Masticore. And I guess I'm attacking with the Meddling Mage. If they did have the Naturalize, then they baited me pretty well. But I'm giving them exactly a 1-turn window to find the Naturalize. Otherwise, this Masticore is just going to take over the game. Natural Order would be a problem though, but I would imagine he cut the Natural Orders. He just packs it in. All right, got there. Woo! That was pretty sexy. Got there in 3 games. All right, round number 2. This hand looks very interesting. I think I'm going to keep it. How we're going to sequence our lands is going to be quite intriguing. So, guess we're playing against Sligh. I imagine this matchup's terrible. I probably need to cheese here, right? No, I don't think I can actually afford to. So I guess I need to play a land first and ship the turn back and potentially Swords to Plowshares this Mog Fanatic. Because it's gonna deal a pretty healthy amount of damage otherwise. I guess at least gonna deal me 4. Although I guess it's the easiest one to kill because of Decree. How do I get punished if my opponent plays a Jackal Pup? Yeah, I guess I'll take it. So I take it. And the opponent passes the turn back. Play my land, say go. So now I can potentially Mana Leak. If my opponent does nothing, I can Impulse. They did nothing? It's very good for me. Play Bloodstained Mire. Okay. If my opponent plays, I was going to say Bolt Lining, then this is definitely something that I want to Mana Leak. Because that means that I need to say I can next turn potentially Impulse and Swords to Plowshares, allowing me to double spell. So that's pretty good for us. So now we get to play our Tron land and pass the turn back. If we find a Nurse's Mine, I think I'm actually gonna make 2/4/4 Angels. Opponent plays a land and fetches. Let's see what they have. Once again, I'm gonna take the one, I think. Like, this Mock Fanatic already did 3, and it's gonna deal up to 4. Minimum of 4, I mean. Mana Leak or Chromatic Sphere? Mana Leak is starting to get to a point where it's gonna be dead pretty soon. I can also... I think I want to actually take Source of Plowshares here. This allows me to safely source this Mog now, while still having Sword for the next one. So you get pinged for 1. Also, it allows me to have a Source of Plowshares to gain 4 by exiling my own Angel down the line. Opponent bolts my face, and that's it. Okay, that worked out very well for me. Drawing the Wrath, not so sexy, however. This hand is not working out great, unfortunately, for me. I'm not gonna cycle this Decree, though. Not yet, at least. Untap. Hey, look at that. I'm a genius. Gonna make some 4/4s. So here's 2 4/4s. Ship the turn back. Opponent did nothing. So this is gonna be a 3-turn clock as is. They must be really flooded over there. I wonder if they just hardcast Fire Blast on my Angel and then it just Source of Plowshares it. That would be awesome for me. Yep. Hardcast Fire Blast. Oh, goes face. Okay. And Fire Blast my face. So I'm down to 5 here. Let's swing for 8. Opponent down to 9. Not playing around Price of Progress, by the way. I don't think that's particularly beatable. Seal of Fire. We untap again. Masticore means even if this Angel dies, I have lethal next turn. I think I play the Masticore first, so I can plow the Masticore if I want, instead of having to plow one of my Angels. Alright, cool. And now we swing with the Angels. Opponent down to 1. Creatures don't do anything. But if my opponent has double Lightning Bolt, I lose. Seal of Fire, down to 3. Lightning Bolt, in response, Source of Plowshares my Angel. Do you have another Lightning Bolt? Nope. Okay, so now only Fire Blast kills me. And we got there, cool. Winning game 1 feels very good. Obviously, we got super lucky that we top decked that very, very timely thing, right? That the final Tron piece. So now we get to bring in all of our cyber cards for the matchup, which is pretty good. So, don't want Powder Keg, don't want the Rats. I think Masticore is fine. Probably want my counter magic. We could go down on Stroke of Genius just to lower the curve a little bit. So go down to 2 strokes. Definitely want the impulses. This enchant is interesting. It can kill another... Yeah, I think I want it because of Curse Scroll specifically. The question is, do I want Forbid? I think I do. Seems, I guess, better than the Power Sink number 2. I am bringing in a lot of counter magic. I think Masticore is fine. It's something that I can deploy early. I won't decrease because I want to actually end the game. I think on the draw I'm going to cut a Mana Leak and the Prohibit and go with this. Okay, what do we got? We have not Tron, but close. We do, however, have a pretty painful land here. Oh, now that I think about it, we should have definitely kept in Prohibit because the card that's most dangerous is Price of Progress. So definitely want Prohibit for games number 2 and 3. I'm gonna ship this hand. I don't think we have enough going on. This one is much better. So keep this, bottom the Stroke for now. See what my opponent's got. Turn 1 Jackal Pup. So that one's gonna need to die, because that one is gonna deal a lot of damage. And I'm gonna do this main phase so I can play around my opponent having Reb or something. So kill the pup. Opponent does not pop Bubble? Wonder why. Grim Lavamancer. Well, we don't have Wrath, so we're gonna have to kill each one of these one by one. Decree. Okay, so I think I cycle this for a white because we have more Source of Plowshares that we can draw than other Red Elemental Blasts. Yeah, I think so. Urza's Mine. So next turn we're going to go Mine into Arcane Lab. We're going to take 4 down to 16. Curse Scroll, okay. Opponent swings for 2, down to 18. Untap and Tron land. I guess I got punished for cycling that Chromatic Sphere, huh? So we're gonna go to 16, then take 2 more. 14, 12. Life totals plummeting rather quickly. Incinerate face. So that means they didn't use Lavamaster. They missed out on a point of damage. That's kind of huge. Kind of a very big deal. Bloodstained Mire means my opponent gets to both Grim and Curse Scroll, which is pretty scary. Take 2. Then we're gonna take 4. So here I'm at a virtual 9. And their last card in hand is Price of Progress. Circle Protection Red. Ugh. So I'm just dead. I'm literally just dead. I guess my opponent would need to kind of bait themselves a little bit here, because this is 6 plus 1. We do get to... So this is 6 plus... Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna cycle Cycle Decree, and we need to draw exactly cop red, I guess. Yep. So Price of Progress resolved, stealing me 6. Make a soldier. Opponent can shoot the soldier so I don't get to block, but take 1 and I'm dead. Like, I get to assemble Tron, but can't do anything with it. So I'm just gonna concede. Game number 3, let's see what's up. We do have some decent chants, which are fine. Definitely Prohibit comes back over Forbid. I guess 3 mana is a lot more than 2. Mana Leak also comes in because I'm on the play now. And I'm gonna cut in 1 more Decree. This looks fine. Arcane Lab didn't do anything there, but Arcane Lab is the key against Circuit Protection Red. So that's why I want it in the deck. This is Tron, so I'll keep this. Play land, play Chromatic Sphere. Jackal Pup, play Tower, ship the turn back. So we're gonna take 2 from this Pup, but turn 3 Tron is a hell of a drug. So we're just gonna drop a Masticore. And then after there, we don't really need to play any more lands. Probably going to, but... Okay, so that one's dead, probably. I guess I don't even need to. Let's just play Masticore. Yeah, I actually think I'm going to kill this main phase. If my opponent does something, otherwise I'm going to kill it on their upkeep. So now they can't actually put 2 things in the graveyard. So I'm going to shoot the Lavamancer now. And if my opponent wants to use removal on this Masticore, I am stoked about that because I have a second one. Curse Scroll. Yeah, this one's looking pretty good for us. I have to make sure I don't randomly die to Price of Progress. This Chromatic Sphere is a really big deal. So Masticore upkeep. Discard a Darker Waste. Yeah, that's cool. So swing for 4, and then I'm gonna casually make 7 tokens. Don't need to do this yet because my opponent can have like Bowl Lightning or something. My opponent could have double Price of Progress, but even they need double Price of Progress plus Fire Blast. Opponent serves. We're going to cycle for white, and we draw Prohibit. Nice. Cycle for 7. Make 7 dudes. Opponent gets to resolve Price of Progress here if they want to. So if I block with all 7 of these soldiers, that's my opponent takes 7? I think so, right? So that is obviously that much better than only blocking. My opponent gets to kill 2 soldiers, but I get to deal them a lot of damage, which helps the race. And now I have actual lethal on board, which is hilarious. So double pop plus Fire Blast kills me, but anything besides that, and I'm going to win. Grim Lavamancer, not good enough. So when you turn 3 Tron, this deck is pretty messed up. I'm not gonna lie. I love that we also just had like the Chromatic Spheres are doing an incredible amount of work here. So now I get to like play Tower and ping the Grim and play a Skycloud Egg. Probably discarding Masticore on my upkeep. My opponent can destroy my Masticore, but I just regen, so it's no big deal. Opponent ships it back. I guess I'm actually gonna discard the Decree instead of second Masticore. Nah, I'm gonna discard second Masticore. Play the egg, and then I'll ping the Grim Lavamancer. Percent lethal. My opponent needs to do something about this. Curse Scroll the token. The YOLO play. Curse Scroll the token with 3 cards in hand. And Price of Progress was revealed. So they name Price of Progress. So they go down to 1. But we do have the Price of Progress covered now. So we don't care that much anymore. So now we filter Skycloud Egg. And we're going to Prohibit. And I'm floating mana because we also get to cycle here. Make 2 more tokens. My opponent says super effing good move, man. I'm like, GG, yeah. That was a fun match. That was a lot of fun. See you for the next round. Match number 3. I think I'm gonna keep this. I'm playing against Dave Kaplan, so I'm going to assume that he's playing Dreadnought because that's kind of what he does. I'm gonna lead on a Darker Waste. Maybe I should be leading an island so that he doesn't play a mage on 2. Naming Swords of Plowshares. But I drew a second Tron piece, so I want to open myself to just having another Tron piece next turn. So this means that I can go Ursa's Mine here and pass the turn back. So next turn I can play Ursa's Tower and play the egg. And we get to either Prohibit or Power Sink, whatever he plays, run into a Daze, as one does. Or we can simply just Swords of Plowshares. I'm going to assume that Prohibit is better in this matchup than Power Sink is. The only card that doesn't counter is Gush and Foil. So are the only 2 cards. Untap, another Power Sink. Huh, so I kind of want to just pass the turn here and just be able to Prohibit through Daze. Dreadnought. I think I go for Prohibit. Yeah. I think I actually Power Sink. So if I Power Sink here, next turn I get to... Yeah, let's Power Sink, run into a Daze. And then next turn I get to Swords to Plowshares. Plus, yeah, so there's the Daze. And now we get to Swords to Plowshares plus Prohibit. Mana Leak. And I think I want to Source of Plowshares now. He counterspells, I Prohibit. Prohibit probably better than Mana Leak. And now he's gonna gain 12. And we get to play our egg and ship the turn back. So that worked out very well for us. That worked out really, really well for us. If he combos me again this turn, we're gonna be in trouble, but if he doesn't, then we're kind of cooking. So our best draw here would be either a Tron piece or potentially something like a Decree. Dreadnought again. Okay, that's bad for me. Vision Charm. Just had the second combo rolled up. Skycloud Expanse is not great. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cycle this egg. I think I want to stroke for 2. So we're going to draw 2 cards. Masticore and Flooded Strand. Could have also impulsed, but I think this is fine. So we're going to take 12 down to 6. And we really need to find an answer to this Dreadnought. He's gushing and impulsing. Masticore actually cannot jump in front of the Dreadnought, unfortunately. Don't have enough toughness. So we know he has some lands in hand. Chromatic Sphere is a draw. Yeah, so let's go lead on Sphere. Actually, I have Wrath of God, so I think I'm gonna lead on Impulse. No, I think it's, I guess, yeah, if I don't Impulse, yeah, I have to lead on Impulse, I think. So I need to find exactly Disenchant or something like that. So let's go off of this mana and Impulse first. Another Impulse. So bottom some lands. And I can't Wrath anymore, so I'm going to Impulse on his upkeep, because that allows me to find exactly Disenchant or Source of Pleasures. Oh, 2 mana. Yeah, we're gonna Impulse now. And then I'm going to hope to find an answer. Source of Plowshares, perfect. And now we get to plow the Dreadnought while he stepped out. We do get foiled out of the game, but it is what it is. It needs to be foiled. Daze doesn't do it. He has it. Okay, cool. We lose. Game number 2. So we like Arcane Lab, we like Disenchants, and we like Meddling Mages. We do have a pretty strong sideboard, to be honest. I just realized we also had Powder Keg. That's kind of sick. So get some strokes out of here. And I don't like Decree that much either. Masticore is probably a necessary evil. I'm gonna bring in Forbid too, because he definitely has Armageddon and stuff like that. Unfortunately, the Ferris response does not work against Armageddon, but it's okay. So I think I guess I like Decree better than Masticore. Maybe stroke number 3, and I guess I can cut what? All my cards are great. Let's cut a Power Sink. I'm actually gonna cut the second stroke and bring in Decree, because Decree is actually an answer to Meddling Mage. We're obviously gonna name Meddling Mage on Pryax and Dreadnought. I'm not sure whether Dave is playing the freeze, but this hand looked good. Let's go Power Plant into Egg, ship the turn back. Basic Island. Okay, Ursa's Tower is pretty sexy there. Lacking on the blue source department, but it's fine. We don't need to cycle this Impulse just yet. Ship the turn back. I'm probably going to Impulse next turn. This Impulse obviously fine. It's weird because I'm looking for both the blue source and the Finnish Tron piece, so it's kind of an awkward spot. He plays a fetch land and fetches for a white source. This probably means Meddling Mage, so let's do this to cycle, and I'm gonna cast Prohibit. Not finding a blue source is pretty bad for us, but it is what it is. First time that we're kind of getting got by our mana situation. So Dave is asking whether Egg is not an activated ability. So I guess he was hoping to stifle the Egg, but it's actually a mana ability, so it doesn't use the stack. It's really weird. Chromatic Sphere is the same way. Really awkward. So blue source would be great. That's not a blue source. So I think I'm not gonna play the planes because we're already playing around Daze and I don't want to play into Armageddon. It's weird with the Stroke of Genius in hand, right? But that would have been a great turn to play an Arcane Laboratory, right? Clear board. Opponent doesn't get to do anything. If they play anything, I just get to Source to Plowshares. Pretty awkward. Another island. I wonder if he's going to get in there. Looks like he's not. Alright, blue source. I guess I'm gonna play the planes now, because I have 2 Source to Plowshares. So this plays into Armageddon, but I probably cannot beat an Armageddon anyway. This is the first time, yeah, there's the gushing to get in. This is the first time that we actually gotten punished by our mana base. I think the mana base is fairly good, but obviously it's not gonna be good enough here. Oh, he replaced a land, so I guess he does not have the get in. Portent. Dreadnought. Okay. And he stifles. So I'm going to use a Source of Plowshares on my opponent's end step here. And because there's the possibility that I get to draw a land, a blue source, I'm going to Just do this now. Opponent's gonna face out or whatever. Yeah, Vision Charm. Okay. And now I get to untap and I get to next turn. Oh, come on, man. Yep. So I guess I have to upkeep Attempt to Swords again, which is not going to work. But I don't think I can take 12. And then he's going to probably counter this Swords and then put me in really bad shape. And he correctly, even though he could have counterspelled last turn, right? Because I did this on upkeep, he correctly used Division Charm because next turn he's going to be able to counterspell anyways. And by using Division Charm there, he also protects from Wrath of God, which he doesn't know that I have, but you know, he probably suspects it. Portent. Okay, so here I kind of have a window. If I draw a Disenchant and he doesn't have foil, which seems unlikely, I can potentially disenchant the Dreadnought, but yeah, never found the blue source. Okay, it's gonna be like that sometimes. Unfortunate. See you next round. Okay, what do we got here? On the play. Yeah, this hand looks good. We got some nice interaction. So we can go turn 1, Flooded Strand, and kind of wait from there. Depending on what we draw, we may be able to play a Tron piece on turn 2, or maybe we can just play another fetch land. Flooded Strand go. Opponent moves to 6. A Darker Waste. Interesting. So I guess I'm playing Tower, shipping the turn back. No idea what a Darker Wastes can be. My opponent says, oh, after I play the Tron land, which is kind of what I expected everybody to say after I play a Tron land, so. So this can be kind of anything, honestly. Maybe this is Stifle Knot and we're getting stifled here, but it looks like we're not. So I'm just gonna Impulse here, see what we find. This can get Dazed, Counterspelled. Mana Leak. Okay, that's a good exchange for us. So I guess we're probably playing against, I would assume that we are against Landstill. Yeah, I think so. Stroke of Genius is not bad. We have Mana Leak here. Another Impulse is not terrible. It's going to allow us to hit our land drop. One is going to Foth on end step. Yeah. I kind of want to counter this just because it allows me to use my mana. And there's nothing really that my opponent can play that's going to punish me. Maybe a Standstill. But then it would have been exactly the same as just letting the Factor Fiction resolve, right? So here I'm going to just fetch for everything just so that I can Impulse now. And if I find a land drop, ooh, Ursa's Mine, there we go. So that completes Tron. So now I have infinite mana. And if I draw a Decree, I'm just going to win the game very easily. Worst case scenario, if my opponent like taps out for something, but they missed a land drop, so I'm definitely not going to pop this Standstill here. So I can just Stroke of Genius draw 7, and my opponent continues missing land drops, so this is just very good for me. Yep, just gonna continue playing this game. I don't need to do anything. Hitting land drops, good for opponent. More lands are good for me. Yep, they pop their own Furnace. They pop their own Standstill, I mean. Oh, my opponent says I forgot I had it in play. Whoops. That's rough. So I have literally 8 cards in hand right now. So I think I'm just going to untap and just play 2 Spheres. Like I don't need to run this Stroke of Genius into anything. So I'm just going to put 2 cards to draw later in play. Take it from there. We have 2 counter spells as is. Opponent cycles the Furnace, which makes sense. Don't really have much else going on. I could Stroke of Genius on my end step if I wanted to. I don't think I have to, so just untap. And I guess I might as well play this Masticore. If my opponent wants to kill this, I could not care less. Not gonna fight over this. Oh, if this hits a counter spell, I'm ecstatic. Yeah, this is extremely good for me. Hell yeah. That is so good for me. So now I can do like a mini Stroke of Genius on my opponent's end step. Mini would mean, you know, Stroke of Genius for 5. Might as well. So this does make my opponent's Mana Leak live, however. So I guess I can just Stroke of Genius for 2. I think I'm just going to Stroke for... Let's do it like this. So I leave Mana Leak to pay. So this is a Stroke for 4. So if my opponent Mana Leaks, I can just pay. But if they counterspell, I can just let it go. I'm probably not going to prohibit. Okay, so they do have the counterspell. That's fine. That resolves. Untap. Ursa land. Pass the turn back. So my opponent can basically never ever tap out. Because as soon as they do, I just draw a million. They fetch. And now I can leave both Mana Leak and Prohibit up if I want to. Oh, I guess, no, I actually can because of I can cycle. So this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this means I can pay for 1 Mana Leak and I can Prohibit a counter spell and I still have 4 mana. So I guess I can do 1 more. So this means Mana Leak, pay for a Mana Leak, pay for 2 Mana Leaks and Prohibit. So this seems good enough. X equals 6, casually drew 6. Let's Impulse on my end step. Still looking for Decree. Oh, there you go. Can we win in a single attack? We may be able to, actually. So go to discard. Gonna discard probably Swords to Plowshares. Opponent cycles Decree. Cute. Go to discard, Swords to Plowshares, Wrath of God, and Disenchant. Going to Decree for a lot. And then we can fight over Wrath of God if we care about doing that. You want to cycle Decree? Let me tell you how we cycle Decree over here. Decree for 16. Untap. Power Sink. It's pretty hot. Well, 16, yeah. I love that we still have 9 cards in hand because of the 2 eggs in play. Swing for 3, so my opponent's going to attempt to Wrath here. This is going to be sexy. We're just so far ahead that we can just play around. We can just play into this if we want to. So cast it with Kicker. The funniest thing, I could just let this resolve, right? Could just let this resolve and like stroke for a bunch and just draw another Decree. Okay, the blue mirror match. So Forbid looks good, and obviously Teferi's responses look fantastic. The question is whether I want to play Meddling Mage or not. I think I don't. My opponent may play their own Meddling Mages, but yeah, I'm gonna cut Swords to Plowshares, and I'm gonna bring in the 3rd copy of Disenchant. Powder Keg seems fine as a way to clear out opposing tokens, so I think I value Wrath higher than Swords to Plowshares. Swords to Plowshares does allow me to interact with creature lands, however. Maybe I just leave in 1 Swords to Plowshares, 1 Wrath of God. I definitely want Powder Keg because Powder Keg, it covers both, right? Like both creature lands, and it also covers tokens. But yeah, let's do this, and let's take it from here. Meddling Mage again is pretty interesting, I think. My opponent may have their own Meddling Mage too, so maybe I should have some amount of Swords to Plowshares now that I think about it. So we are 2/3 of Tron on the way there. I think I keep this hand. It's weird we don't have blue mana. We would definitely love to have blue mana, but we don't yet have anything going on here. Maybe I should have played the Mine first in case my opponent has a way to destroy a land. But so play Chromatic Sphere. If my opponent wants to mana leak this, that would actually suck quite a bit, but they also might be able to disenchant here. Oh, they actually can't disenchant because they can just cycle it, so never mind. Cast Impulse. The fact that we have Teferi's response is a big reason why I kept this hand. Like, this card is extremely important in this kind of matchup. Another egg is fantastic. I do have to crack the Sky Club egg first, however, because it's the most awkward one of the bunch, because it requires me to have actually 2 mana in order for it to do anything. Come on, opponent, Dust Bowl me. Fairy Conclave. If my opponent swings, I am definitely disenchanting this. So, disenchant. Nice little trade there. Woo! Tron, baby. So I think I just main phase, draw 6. I'm going to discard a lot though, so I think I'm just gonna pass the turn, and I'm gonna impulse on end step to look for a land. So cycle for blue and impulse. Well, that sucks. Would have loved to find a blue source there. There we go. Easy game, easy life. If they foff, do I just mana leak? I can also just let this resolve. I kind of want to just let this go. So give them Counterspell and Factory versus the other 3. Because I actually don't care about the Factory and I care more about the other blue source. So let's actually do it like this. Factory plus Foff versus the other 3. One second I can stroke for a bunch here, but I don't think I want to. My opponent takes the land and the second Foff. This is cool. Am I cycling here is the question. Fairy Conclave. It's kind of aggressive. That's a little bit too aggressive for my taste. Oh yeah, they must be in really rough shape over there if they're allowing me to do this. So now I just stroke for a gazillion, just casually draw 7, and I'm just gonna crack this standstill for my opponent, I think. I'm a little bit too far ahead at this point. Would have loved to find one of the filter lands, actually. That would have been great. Land, and I think I just say go, actually. Let's just discard Sphere, 1 land, and the Tron piece, maybe a mana leak, maybe 2. I'll just discard the Teferi's response, I think. No, actually, there's no reason to. I'm just gonna pitch one of these lands. So here we get to cycle for 6, 8. Now my opponent's getting super aggressive. I mean, this is kind of understandable because that obviously they cannot win a longer game. So it's pretty understandable that they're just, you know, making what seem like desperate plays. They're just insanely far behind here. I think once again they're gonna be forced to pop their own standstill because I still have a 3-turn clock here. Tap, play a land. Maybe I should have actually played a Darker Waste, probably the case. If opponent attempts to Dust Bowl, I'm gonna pop their Landstill by Teferi's responsing. Wrath of God. Sure, I'll draw 3, and I might as well counter this because value. Now we're gonna have a 2-turn clock. Finding the Sky Close Pants is kind of nice. So let's go play tower, egg, into keg, into another egg, swing for 6. And we have way more mana than we even know what to do with. So I suspect we'll be fine. Another Wrath. We can power sync, just win the game. All right, there you go. Good games. I'm a ham AMA. Always a pleasure. This is exactly the kind of matchup that we want to face every time, basically, right? Like this control mirrors, we're just gonna be so far ahead because all of a sudden it's just like, whoop, I hit my land drop and now I'm insanely far ahead. So that was cool. All right, see you for the last round. The last round of this video, and am I keeping this hand? I don't think I am, right? This is very sketchy. If we had 2 different Tron pieces, I would be a lot more incentivized to keep this. But as is, we don't have double white. I think I'm gonna mulligan. This is much better. Yeah, let's keep this. What do we do? What do we bottom? I think I bottom the disenchant. I may regret this being on the draw, but I think I'm supposed to bottom the disenchant. Could also bottom prohibit. What if I bottom prohibit? I'm gonna bottom disenchant. I may get punished for that, but you know, having no information and being on the draw is kind of a bad combination for a deck like this one. So Pablo moves to 4. Is this Elves? No, Rootwalla. Okay. So unclear as to whether bottoming the disenchant was good or not. Is this blue-green madness or red-green madness? Yeah, red-green. Sabos Web. Okay, that doesn't do anything against me. Oh, so this may be a version of Survival Welder. Sick. So, ooh, tower. Pass the turn back. We have some time with this Rootwalla. No need to get too hasty. Just bump in. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's good for me. Queer Ranger. I think I prohibit. Maybe I should have cycled. I don't know. I kind of want to cycle a little bit. Yeah, we're not drawing great, but it could be worse. Okay, just getting punched to death by the Rootwalla. We untap. Okay, ship the turn back, and we're obviously gonna shuffle. You're gonna fetch for a white source here, and I think we're just gonna source to Plowshare this. I don't think I want to continue taking hits from this Rootwalla. I'm obviously gonna wait to see if my opponent pumps. So let's fetch here. Get a plains, and I'll source the Plowshares, and we untap. Do we want to cycle? I kind of want to cycle. Let's just cycle this now to have more information. Okay, so now we have Decree. We're looking good. Yeah. So we're gonna fetch now for a white source, I think, and send the turn back. I think I'm just gonna cycle for 2 if I'm given the option. Like if my opponent does nothing and just passes the turn back. Opponent spending mana. Thopter Squadron. Hell yeah. I think I source to Plowshare. Actually, I'm gonna Mana Leak, and then I can source to Plowshares. There's an argument there for like letting it resolve and then like source to Plowsharing since my opponent would be tapped out. Maybe that would have been better. I also have to kind of be scared of Triskelion, but now that I drew the power sync, we're kind of fine. So let's cycle here. Decree for 3. Find the Mana Leak. Yeah, we're looking good here. Now if my opponent does nothing, we get to Ancestral on their end step. They fetch. What do you got, Pablo? Oh, they're just kind of flooded. Draw 3, untap, land, play an egg, and keep swinging for 3. We have infinite counter magic at this point, so I think it's going to be too much for him to come back from. Obviously, the mull to 5 on his side did not help. Funnily enough, this is one of the very few control decks that Sabos Web does actually nothing against. If I were playing Landstill, I would be a lot more worried about Sabos Web. 5 mana, that's exactly enough for me to Mana Leak this. Oops, Shield Sphere snuck through. I totally did not see that. I think that's fine. If he wants to block a bunch, I'm game. So swing. I think I should have actually cycled this Calculator egg on my opponent's end step, because I may have found a land or a thing to cycle or whatever. So that Shield Sphere is going to buy my opponent a bit of time, but I just have too many answers that it just doesn't matter. Sharpshooter. That one needs to die. So that one will be Source of Plowshared. I'm going to cycle this egg now. Draw Prohibit, that's fine. Another land. Not the right one, but I don't think it matters. This 3 little soldiers are just gonna go the distance here. It's really awkward for him, right? Because he kind of... It's not great for him to just be jamming 1 threat every turn as soon as he draws them, because I'm so ahead of cards. But also, like, the cards that I have are just... Yeah, I'm just gonna let this Tangle War resolve. Like, I can just let all of this start resolve because it just doesn't really do anything. Like, it buys his time, but it buys him time, but it doesn't really achieve anything. So I think I'm going to tap 3 tokens and the plains. Play a land, fetch, last fetchable land, and say go. Like, I'm super ahead on mana, super ahead on board, and a bunch of his cards are just a little bit too situational. Yeah, so that one we just prohibit. That one I think I would have sandbagged, right? That is the kind of threat that I'm a lot more interested in sandbagging. Okay, so there's the decree. So now we should be clear for takeoff. If he plays anything remotely threatening, we counter it. If he doesn't, we just cycle a big decree and the game ends. Decree for 6, which is exactly lethal. Packs it in and we move on to game number 2. So we're playing against Survival Welder, so I like disenchants. I like Forbid, I think. Actually, no, I don't like Forbid. Meddling Mage is very interesting, however. I think I do like Meddling Mage as a way to fight against survivals and like tangle wires and stuff. So I think I want this 5 cards. And what do I not want? I'm on the draw, so Mana League is gonna lose a little bit of its stock. Not super high on Powder Keg. I have some other ways to catch back up. My opponent does not really have a way to interact with my mana. So once I assemble Tron, that's gonna be just good. So I think I want to just shave another Mana Leak, maybe shave a Power Sink, and I just don't want to fight on the stack as much as I fight on the board. I do like Prohibits though, because countering survival is obviously very, very important, but like also Meddling Mage counters survival preemptively, right? So I think I want to cut either Decree or Stroke of Genius number 4. Definitely want the Wrath, definitely want the Masticore. I just got 1 Decree. Game number 2, we're on the draw, no removal, but this seems fine to me. Point on the 61 card special, probably misclicked over there. Double Stroke is not particularly impressive, but this hand allows me to like play an Ursa's Tower on 1 and potentially like Sky Cloud on 2 and go from there. Tanglewire would be kind of a beating. Yeah, my opponent had turn 2 survival on the play. Okay, so play Meddling Mage, but obviously we're just 1 too late now. So do I just name Goblin Welder? I think I named Goblin Welder. Because everything else I can just answer on the stack potentially. Oh, he has a Welder in hand, that's hilarious. He gets squeezed. So the engine is online. It's gonna be tough to keep up with. So I really need to find the disenchant effect. So now my opponent can find Sharpshooter. Okay, so they go for Anger. So they can start netting some mana. I don't have any Graveyard Hate in my entire deck, so that part sucks, but it's okay. It's not the best draw, unfortunately, and I don't think I want to attack. I think my life total matters a lot more than my opponent's. I'm getting a little bit buried here. And Tuco Vigilante. Interesting. Just as a 2-2. I'm fine with this. Yeah, I'll take 2. Whatever. End step, Impulse. Looking for Disenchant. There's Tron piece. Doesn't help me that much. It gets me closer to Tron, so I guess I'll take it. But I kind of want to get another Impulse. But I don't know if I do have the time. Ship turn back. Masticore would be a nice pickup as well. Tanglewire. I guess I need to prohibit that. No, but if I prohibit this, then... If I prohibit this, then the other thing destroys me. If I prohibit this, my opponent can then get me... But then I can't prohibit next turn anyway. I'm really afraid of Sharpshooter here, so I think I have to prohibit here. Because I cannot actually play around Sharpshooter. But my opponent can float a mana and like untap and then just play their own Sharpshooter. Take 2 from the Vigilante. I really have to find the Wrath. Yep. Opponent finds a Sharpshooter. They get to cast it this turn thanks to Quirion Ranger. And that means the next turn my opponent's going to get to kill my Melee Mage. Can't do it here because the Quirion Ranger was already used. But they're going to be able to do it now. A little bit flooded on the Stroke of Genius kind of effects. Yep. Survival book for Quirion Ranger. Seems kind of unnecessary. This is probably like the single card that I was the most impressed by when I tried the deck. So I'm really going to need to find Wrath, Peachy Masticore. Now they can get Welder. For Xing Colossus? I don't like that because that's not lethal. I don't think, right? Oh, I should have Mana Leaked that. Whoops, misclicked. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This is actually lethal. So I guess I'm going to need to upkeep. So what I need to do here is upkeep, find the Source of Pleasures and upkeep Source of Pleasures, the Sharpshooter. Impulse. So they have exactly 2 basic forests, but they already used Quirion Ranger once. Ping me to 1. Untap. Oh, yeah. I mean, it doesn't really do anything though, right? Because like I just Wrath, but he just plays literally any creature and kills me. Dead. Dude, Sharpshooter is so good in this deck. That's probably like the single card that impressed me the most when I tried that deck. Okay, I'm a little bit more into the Power Sink now, because I'm going to be on the play. Same with Mana Leak. And I can cut a Stroke, maybe cut a Prohibit. On the play, Moment of Truth. Yes, I like this hand. So now I get to play Meddling Mage on Survival, I mean. Point on a move to 5, and they have 61 creatures for whatever reason. Turn 1 Llanowar Elf. That's a good one. Okay, so I guess I'm just going to play Meddling Mage. No, actually I still want to name Survival. So by naming Survival, I am freeing up this disenchant to blow up something else, like a Tangle Wire. Defense Grid. Defense Grid into Welder. So that's pretty unfortunate. He doesn't have another enchantment, but also if I don't disenchant this, I don't get to do anything. And I'm pretty far ahead from being able to do anything, so I think I just blow up the defense grid while the Welder is still summoning sick. So now any artifact... Ooh, Meddling Mage was destroyed. That sucks. Another egg. So I think I'm going to play my land and I'm going to pass with Mana Leak up. I'm still going to cycle the Sky Cloud egg on my opponent's turn regardless, just to see what I can find. But I don't think this is enough pressure, so let's cycle the egg. If I find the land, I'm just going to Wrath. So let's... Yeah, okay, so I found the land, so I'm just gonna let this resolve. Just gonna Wrath it all the way. Sure, that means I don't even need to take any damage. Opponent down to 1 card and only 3 mana. Opponent could have drawn just Survival, and that could have been an issue for sure. Welder. Little bit of a misstep there. Little bit of a misstep because my opponent could have played around Mana Leak by just main facing, activating Queer Ranger and redeploying the same forest, because they missed a land drop. 3 mana this time around for Tangle Wire. Yeah, I think I'll take this. This is fine. Because I can just cycle. My opponent plays around Decree very nicely. Not my opponent's first rodeo, in case you were wondering. But this allows me to actually tap my 1/1s, which really minimizes the effect. Tap those 4. But it really minimizes the effect of the Tangle Wire on this board. We still have access to Power Sink, Mana Leak. This Tangle Wire is kind of limiting what my opponent can do as well, making my Mana Leaks much better. Burst of Paradise. I think I like this. Like this, the specific combo of Burst plus Queer Ranger actually gives my opponent a lot of value there, potentially. Draw a land, ship the turn back. And starting next turn, this Tangle Wire does literally anything. My opponent missed a point of damage there, by the way. They could have untapped the Queer Ranger for free. Here we do Stroke for 3. Still no Tron. That's fine. We're starting to pull ahead. We're starting to pull ahead very candidly. 3 mana and they activate Quirion, so that's 4 mana for Masticore. Let's fetch an Impulse in response, just to see what we got going on. Meddling Mage, another Sky Cloud egg. Yeah, this is fine. So let's just get Meddling Mage, and I'm just going to prohibit with Kicker. And now we're gonna get to start attacking. Play another Tron land, play Meddling Mage, play Survival of the Fittest. And now we get to start attacking. So I'm probably only going to counterspell anything that answers Survival. If my opponent plays a Welder, I'm just gonna plow it. So only anything that kills the Meddling Mage immediately. So now I can just Swords to Plowshares the Sharpshooter. But I think it's important for me to save the Power Sink specifically for like a Triskelion or something like that. Something that I'm just better off answering on the stack. That's a good draw. Should end the game. So I have 10 mana. If I wanted to, I could just like make 3 Angels and just say my opponent good luck. But I think we got this game on lock anyway. Decree for 7. Throw a power plant. Still no Tron, funnily enough. But I don't think it's going to matter. Oh, that's a good draw. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, I don't have Tron still. Whoops, that's funny. So I'm going to leave the power plant so I can discard to the upkeep. All right, cool. Ended up 4-1 with Blue-White Tron. Good. It was a lot of fun. Well, another Premodern video, another sweet deck. This deck was very, very nice. There was obviously like a little bit of an issue in terms of our colors, right? We really run into that in the Blue-White Dreadnought matchup, but obviously, you know, that gets exacerbated by the fact that we cannot really play a longer game versus Dreadnought because they have access to Armageddon and they can protect it with counter magic. So obviously the Dreadnought matchup is kind of, in its current iteration with the Armageddons in the sideboard, is kind of a nightmare matchup for a deck like this. But, you know, it definitely felt like we were very comfortable versus decks that allowed us to get our engine online. And even against Sligh, we were just able to just go turn 1, like turn 3 Tron, and then just like explode onto the battlefield. And it just kind of didn't matter what my opponent's cards were in hand, because they were all just kind of blanked by the fact that I just had, you know, like 1 Nasty Core. Or like any of these cards just by themselves, they kind of invalidated my opponent's entire strategy once you get your engine going. But I do like the fact that this deck is built in such a way that doesn't need Tron to exist for it to be actually able to win. You can pull ahead by just playing a control game, and then you simply shut the door once you assemble Tron. So this was a lot of fun. It was really interesting to see, you know, playing against the Blue-White Landstill deck and just see how we were just so much better that them doing the stuff that they were trying to do, which felt kind of hilarious. But it is understandable, right? Like, this is what you get by assembling Tron in a deck like this. And I really like all of the concessions that Caleb made in order to put this deck together. Just like the Skycloud eggs and Chromatic Spheres, like all of these eggs, just trying to make your deck a little bit better, your mana a little bit more smooth. Then, you know, like all your early interaction, impulse to try to assemble your stuff, and then a bunch of like Mana Leaks Prohibit style of cards to sort of bridge the gap until we finally get to the Stroke of Genius, Decree of Justice part of the game. I did not like the full 4 Stroke of Genius. Like, it felt like it was a little bit too much. And as a 5 mana spell, it's not particularly powerful. You know, like 5 mana to draw 2, I feel like I'd much rather just be casting Fact or Fiction. Once you get to 6 mana plus, then you're obviously in much better shape. And obviously the idea for Caleb was, if you're playing 4, you don't feel particularly bad about cycling 1 for 5. The problem is, like, you don't really want to be doing that, right? That's not what you're aiming to do. So Stroke really does its thing once you have finally assembled Tron. So like, this was like I feel like the weakest part of the deck in terms of putting together this whole I don't need to assemble Tron game plan that the deck is trying to put together. So yeah, this really felt like the only card that really felt like it was Tron centric, and without Tron it got dramatically worse to the point where I was just not really happy casting it. Besides that, the rest of the deck was very smooth, except when it obviously struggled to figure out the mana situation. But felt good for sure. Power Sync was medium at best. It wasn't particularly great. Maybe I should be playing some more Mana Leaks and Prohibits, or maybe this should be the slot used for something like Fact or Fiction or something along those lines. As far as the sideboard goes, I honestly don't know. Like, I feel like I would want some amount of, Tormod Script style cards, because there are certain decks that are just faster than we are. Same is true for like Phyrexian Furnace and whatnot. So I don't know. The rest of the cards really worked really well, especially the Arcane Lab, Tefeya's Response, and Melee Mages. These were the cards that I was the most excited to play. A bunch of them obviously were just necessary evils, like the Hydroblast and Warmth and whatever. Although I'm not a fan of Warmth personally. I feel like Circle of Protection is overall the better card in most decks, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. That is going to be the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on the way out. And I'll see you in the next video, folks. Take care and bye-bye.